I'm not entirely sure how they do that, unless they're. I suppose the bowler would be the one you go to. Nat Bowley, the off spinner, would be the one, unless they can get Boomer to get his pads off quick and get back out there to bowl. Haven't seen Prasidh Krishna yet in this session. As Sakande is into KS Bharat, who pulls this away, but there is a fielder set halfway back to the fence at square leg, well, mid-wicket really, quite square, and they come through for a single. Bharat practices the shot again. He was trying to get that square into the gap. For Shami, the mid-wicket comes up, and the entire field comes up. They want to try and bowl as many at him as possible. 3 slips, back point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and long leg. It's been that field for most of the day. Fairly orthodox field setting by Leicestershire captain Sam Evans. It's just flailed off the hip by Mohammad Shami, but controlled it nicely enough. Shortish delivery from Sakande. They come through for a single, or a rather easier single than I think Evans would have liked. None for 44 in his 13.3 overs, Sakande. Yeah, third slip has gone to a sort of fly slip, or a very fine deep third for KS Bharat. Not really seen him play the uppercut too much. That's a full delivery, and it's driven away to deep point, and they come through for a single. KS Bharat on to 59 of 104 balls. England at Headingley still trying to find a way to dismiss Daryl Mitchell and Tom Blundell, who've put on 21 in just 6 overs. Some extraordinary stat that at one point they'd scored half of New Zealand's runs for the series, as Shami faces up to Sakande, gets into line with this and turns it to mid-wicket. There is no run! There might be a run out. There's certainly a shout. There was a good hard throw from the fielder at mid-wicket, hitting one stump. I think KS Bharat made it back, but he had to hurry to get back into his crease. That was sharp work from mid-wicket.
Still waiting to find out who is on substituting for the substitutes at the moment. Nameless fielder, but it was as you say, great piece of work and a good throw too.
Tall, sort of lanky man with sort of red lensed sunglasses on the back of his hat. He's now gone back to sort of halfway back to the mid-wicket fence for Mohammad Shami, who just pushes this up to mid-off to end another toiling, unsuccessful over for Abedin Sakande. 219 for 8, India. This partnership worth 5. KS Bharat is on 59, top score. The only India batter to pass 50. The only India batter to pass 35. Virat Kohli made 33. Shardul Thakur made, Umesh Yadav made 23, and there were 25 and 21 from Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, respectively.
Be interesting to see how India and Sharma sort of play this sort of final hour of this afternoon, whether they want to have a little bowl, and they can always declare and, you know, get out there and let a couple of the bowlers get a few overs under their belts.
One would imagine that Shami and Siraj in particular would just try and get on with it, and there's a reasonable chance they'd be bowled out anyway.
You know, the point of this is now questionable, isn't it, to a certain extent? Okay, Bharat isn't going to play. Shami hopefully won't bat too much, and it won't be required to bat too much. But
he's scored
yes, he has.
runs.
Yeah, you know, his time at the crease isn't an entire waste, is it? Davis is in to KS Bharat, who's defending on the back foot, just dropping it down towards running the field, but the single is taken. Gets Shami back on strike, which I guess is the of the exercise, such as this now.
Look, Rishabh Pant does get injured, then this will be valuable, and it'll be valuable for KS Bharat to get a bit in the middle in general, and he's played nicely, but it's not exactly what India were thinking we're going to get out of it at the start of the game.
Exactly. Davis he swung over and into the crowd. Gentleman in a white shirt drops a catch, but leaps over the green barrier, picks up the ball, hurls it back. And, it will have to be examined by one of the umpires, I would have thought, or it should be examined by one of the umpires, I would have thought, because it certainly made contact with concrete.
It's back at mid-off now.
It is. It was the gentleman threw it back over Everson's head, and it was a good throw, actually, in fairness.
Decent arm from a man in what looks like a lab coat.
It was a good throw. Davis is in again to Shami, who is turning it or blocking it off the outside edge down towards third man 4-4, guiding it, shall we say. Let us say guiding it. Let us say he knew exactly where he was placing that one. No foot movement at all. The ball was just outside of stump, slightly short of a length, and he just pushed at it, and it flew down to third man wide of second slip for 4.
It was a thick edge, but it was a fairly deliberate thick edge. He was trying to get it backward of square all along the ground. Got it a bit finer than he wanted to, but there's a massive gap between second slip and backward point.
Davis is in and bowls again to Shami. Line and length delivery on off stump. Shami carefully defends it out towards extra cover. There's no run. Davis doesn't necessarily look like he's enjoying things too much out there. He often doesn't, though. He's a serious young man.
There are some bowlers who just look like they're not having a very fun time of things. Think back to Angus Fraser. Yes. Always looked a little hangdog. Or Ollie Robinson, actually, of more recent vintage.
He certainly did when he was here. I'll explain why in a minute. Davis is in and bowls and defended on the back foot. Slightly squared up, Shami, but in perfect control as he plays that back down the pitch. Robinson came here with Sussex, but he had food poisoning apparently the night before. Managed to get that in their hotel. Eating a meal in the hotel at which they were staying. It's not yours, don't worry. So you're perfectly safe to eat there should you wish, I'm sure. And he bowled, I think, 4 or 5 overs. That's all he could manage. Short this time from Davis. Hook from Shami misses the ball and ended up bowling spin, which he's actually fairly competent at.
He's done that in a test match. Did that during the Ashes when his back was troubling. I mean, he's had a rough time of it with injuries, Ollie Robinson. Some of it, I mean, the England bowling coach John Lewis was quite critical of him at the end of the winter due to concerns about his back and his ability to get through second and third spells, and maybe how well he looked after himself, which has been something of a theme of his career. If you think back to him being released from Yorkshire when he was a teenager for not really being professional enough. But you know, things like food poisoning. There was some other thing that wasn't his fault that I forget exactly what it was. Some people are just unlucky, which is an unfortunate trait. As Sekunde is in and Bharat flicks this away. That's a really good stop from Griffiths, the sub-fielder. He might have hurt himself falling on this very hard outfield, but that's a really good dive. He was in mid-air, actually, by the time he intercepted the ball, and he took a hard thump, but he saved 2 runs. Well done, Gavin Griffiths.
Brilliant piece of fielding, frankly, in the circumstances. I think not every cricketer would have done those in the circumstances of the game, but outstanding fielding. It's never a long hit behind you, and KS Bharat swiveled on it. Sekunde's a reasonable swiftness, and Gavin Griffiths took a thump on the knee for his trouble, but really good work. No lack of intensity there. 2 slips away. Bharat pulls this really nicely. It was one of those where the sound off the bat was actually almost slightly delayed, so you weren't quite sure what had happened, but that's how well he's timed that. Pulled behind square for 4. Very nicely controlled indeed by KS Bharat. Evans is going to have to change this. He's got his hands behind his back at the moment. As far as I'm aware, this is the first time Sam Evans has captained Leicestershire. And one appreciates that the circumstances are somewhat difficult and that to a certain extent his hands have been tied. But he hasn't particularly handled the bowling that well in this session, for me.
In difficult circumstances, I would agree with you. As this is full and driven again by KS Bharat, this time out to deep cover. They come through for a single. Yes, Sekunde has now bowled 8 overs on the trot from that top end after tea, and is visibly tiring.
At least 3 overs too many. But as I say, I'm not quite sure whether Evans is acting under instruction, so to speak, or Or what?
Or indeed, what bowling options he's got. Roman Walker is warming up now at first slip, which would be some relief. He's been the bowler to watch today, along with Prasid Krishna. This is outside off stump, and that is a shot from Mohammad Shami that belonged to an entirely better batter. Just bent the back knee and carved it away past backward point for 4. Very pleasing shot indeed from Mohammad Shami. 16 off 19 now.
A lovely piece of timing. Evans' options are Walker, obviously. Kimber bowls a bit of spin, more than a bit of spin, really. Obviously, there's Bowley, who went for 13 from the 1 over that he's bowled. But he's playing in the game, and he's the off-spinner, so...
Sam Evans himself has bowled 9 first-class overs, hasn't taken a wicket. But...
He has. Looking around, who else might?
Gavin Griffith is playing as a sub-fielder, but actually, I mean, Sakande was actually on the scorecard as sub at one point in this game for Rehan Ahmed, but he's obviously bowling. I think you can be somewhat flexible in the circumstances of this game. That's a decent delivery from Sakande, but Shami's in behind it comfortably enough. Back to the bowler, there is no run, but certainly Walker is going to come on.
Pretty much, it's actually he and Bowley are the only options, aren't they? Unless sort of Evans and Kimber's very occasional stuff has an airing. We're assuming that Everson isn't available to bowl. All the substitutes can't.
Last ball of the over from Sakande to Mohammad Shami, who fences at that and nearly gets a little feather through to the keeper Sam Bates, but misses it through to the keeper. There is no run. End of a long spell, probably, from Abidin Sakande. There was 8 overs in that. He's 15 overs, 1 maiden, none for 56, and he hasn't bowled well, particularly Sakande, but you feel from a little bit having to bowl that many overs.
Yeah, with an older ball as well. Not easy.
On a pitch that is probably about as good to bat on as it's been all day.
It's flattened a bit, hasn't it? That's for sure. So can Walker add to his 5 for...
Should have done when Umesh Yadav was on naught, pushed a ball back to him, just spooned it back to him, really, and Roman Walker snatched at the chance and put it down. Umesh Yadav went on to make 23 off 32 balls.
I'm just wondering what name that is on the scoreboard now. Walker's figures have gone up, 10 overs, 5 maidens, 5 for 21, but B. Mallet? I'm not seeing things, am I? That's what it does say.
That is what it says.
As opposed to Walker.
I'm not entirely sure how that made it into the system.
Who he? Question mark. Well, Evans and everybody's gesturing at each other. There's a little gathering of Leicestershire players, including Evans, Griffiths and Walker. It is going to be Walker who's going to bowl from the
Look, don't
pavilion.
take my 5-for off me and give it to this B. Mallet fella. What's he done?
Who is he? Very curious. He's decided to send Bowley back to deep point. He's going to be bowling to KS Barrett on 67 off 108 balls, 241 for 8. India. Walker is in and bowls slightly short, squared up, and it's going to bounce just short of point coming in. There, he had no idea where that had gone, KS Barrett. May almost have come off the sort of back of the bat, whether he turned his back bat on the ball a little bit too early, but somehow, looking to work it into the leg side, it looped down towards that man at almost fly gully, sort of 25 yards from the bat. And there's a lot of gesturing out there about where individuals should be fielding. Shami is on strike. A single was taken, 242 for 8.
He went almost 180 degrees in the other direction from where he was intending. Real spooning leading edge.
Walker is in to Shami, who leaves the outswinger. He makes a late decision, and the correct decision to lift the bat over the line of the ball. He played pretty correctly.
Yeah,
Mohammad Shami, he can, and in these circumstances.
Yeah, he's always had a good eye, Mohammad Shami. He has got 2 Test 50s, one on one of the flattest wickets you will ever see at Trent Bridge in 2014. Really not much of a contest between bat and ball. That was the famous game where James Anderson got 81 and then Alistair Cook, doing an impression of Bob Willis, got Ishant Sharma out. But his 50 of the Lord's Test last year was vital.
Walker is in. It comes back in to Shami, who is tucked up rather, comes off the thigh pad. He offers to pick it up himself. Leicestershire accept his offer. It's thrown to Evans, who throws it to Griffiths. But again, B. Mallet, a.k.a. R. Walker, is getting... Why? He's getting plenty of movement out there.
I know of A. Mallet, Ashley Mallet, the former Australian off-spinner. B. Mallet is a mystery to me.
We shall ask the scorers afterwards. What on earth is going on? Walker is in and bowls short of a length. Shami up on his toes, dropping the delivery off stump out into the offside. Bowley comes running in, but he has a lot of ground. And Shami can take a comfortable single, and does. He moves on to 17. 243 for 8.
Test to see if we were paying attention. In which case you have our attention. And we're still confused.
Walker, 49 on his back, runs in and bowls just outside off stump. KS Barrett waits on the back foot and guides it out towards that man who's deepish at backward point, almost on the 45, and therefore another comfortable single can be taken.
It's noticeably quieter now that the two school parties over there in the family stand have both left.
Hope they enjoyed their day. I think there are more due tomorrow. As Walker is in and bowls, solidly leaning forward, almost walking into his defensive shot. There is Mohammad Shami back down the pitch. It goes to the man from Wrexham. 17 not out to Shami at the end of the 60th over. The partnership is 30. Now the helmet is coming out, so we're going to see some spin. One assumes it will be Bowley.
Or maybe it'll be B. Mallet bowling from both ends, like in the 100. There's just a spot of rain on our window, and it's got a little bit darker. The ground stuff, I wouldn't say massing near the covers. There's sort of lying near the covers. Bowley. Bowley.
No.
Is it Bowley?
Yes.
Nat Bowley was hit for a 6 and a 4 off his first two deliveries by KS Barrett. He is now bowling from, I think, the proper end for a spinner in these circumstances, with the leg side being the bigger hit. He's bowling from the Bennett end, bowling to KS Barrett, who's on 69. He's played nicely. There's a sort of two 45s, one on the offside, one on the leg side. So short third and a 45. A cover, a mid-offset a little deeper, and a mid-wicket quite straight are the fielders up, and then we've got a backward point, deep square leg and a deep mid-wicket. KS Barrett drives this nicely off the outer part of the bat, aiming towards that short boundary. Everson out there will do the fielding, and they'll come through, for a single. KS Barrett moves to 70 off 111. He's got faster and faster and more fluent as this innings has gone on. A bit of a, I wouldn't say exactly late developer, because he got a Ranji Trophy 100 several years ago. In fact, he's got a Ranji Trophy triple 100, KS Barrett, remarkably the only wicketkeeper ever to do so. As Shami faces up to Bowley and flicks this with a little lift of the back leg, flamingo-like, clips this up to mid-on. There is no run. It is now starting to spit a little bit, and I wonder how much longer this will last. Not one ball longer, says the umpire, and on come the covers, towed by that green cover. The fans don't care. They're happy because they've seen some activity on one of the balconies. But at 246 for 8 in the 61st over, we have the third rain interruption of the day. KS Barrett is on 70, Mohammad Shami is on 18. Both have batted quite nicely. India's tail wagging a little bit as they were at 1.148 for 7 when Shardul Thakur was bowled leaving a delivery from Roman Walker. The wicket of Umesh Yadav caught well by Joey Everson in the deep off Will Davis, the only wicket to fall in the session.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised if we are done for the day, to be quite honest. We have 55 minutes theoretically left to be played.
I can see the floodlights are starting to come on, which, if they're turning them on, that would imply that they want to use them at some point.
Yeah, the umpires must have asked for them, but it is raining quite hard at the moment. Given how long it will take for the covers to go on and off, well, quite a few of the crowd have made their mind up and are heading for the Curzon Road gates. We shall see what happens, but if there is any more play, we will certainly be here. Every ball will be covered throughout this tour game. BBC Local Radio covers every ball bowled in county cricket throughout the domestic season, on stream, on commentary as well. 246 for 8 then, and we'll take a break, grab a cup of tea, and we'll keep you updated as soon as we hear any news.